Okay, we're going to get started here. It looks like it's about 6:30 my time, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. Welcome to DES105 Page Layout Tools, Week 1. A new mod starts now. Are you guys ready to do this? It's kind of crazy. You guys go quickly throughout each mod. Hopefully you're ready for this new class. I think you'll really enjoy this class. This is a really nice fundamental class, getting you kind of more acquainted with some of the Adobe programs, specifically with InDesign. Please do not feel kind of like, don't try to not feel anxious about learning this new program. This is why you are here. And if you need any extra resources, please reach out to me because I am here to help you guys. All right, so let's go with the introductions. And don't forget, you guys, I probably have not met any of you yet since you are in the lower end classes. So don't forget, there's an introduction forum in Canvas that we'll take a look at here in a second. So make sure that you are introducing yourselves, making these connections with not only myself, but also your fellow classmates, because you never know. We can all be pretty useful to each other, especially as alumni when you graduate. So making those connections and keeping that connection with your fellow classmates is really, really important. It's kind of amazing how many different times I've experienced doors opening for me through professors that I have had, and also connections and networking that I've made through from alumni that I actually went to school with. So you just never know. So definitely make sure you put your intro here in the classroom so we all know who you are. And who knows, you might have somebody you never knew lived right by you in the class that you can relate to. A little bit about me. Again, I have my intro in the Canvas as well, and announcements. My name is April Biss. You can call me April, that's fine. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I actually currently live there. However, I have not been living there for the past 13 years. Since I graduated for my undergrad. I moved to Ohio, Akron to be specific. I moved there a year after I got my first ad agency job. I moved there. My boyfriend, husband, ex-husband now at the time, wanted to go back to continue his education, so I went with him. That's kind of what took me out to Ohio. There I worked for a couple ad agencies and a publication company. Very great experience. I lived there for about 6 years, and then we moved to Tampa, Florida for 7 years. And when I moved to Tampa, Florida, I actually got a couple of publication jobs as a freelance designer. And then later on, I actually got my first teaching experience on ground at a college in Tampa. That was before I got my master's degree, and I fell in love with it. It was my first experience teaching for higher ed, and I just really fell in love with it. I found a really good passion there of giving back, so that's what pushed me. After 2 years of working there, their accreditation changed, and I needed my master's in order to continue teaching there. So it kind of pushed me to go for my master's. So I went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. For my master's in 2012 is when I graduated there. Now, I like to tell you guys that I went to get my master's, not only because, obviously it is my master's, but also I always like to tell my students that I did this online. My master's degree was all online. I lived in Tampa, Florida, and I did my whole master's program online. And I like to tell you that because I know exactly what you guys are going through. I've been in your shoes as a student, as an online student. And it's different than being an on-ground student. It's just two different mediums, I guess. And some people are really good at it and some people really hate it. So it's like not for everybody. But I think there are a lot of great pros for it. And what's great about the cons, the bad things, which, you can find in anything really, even on ground. I've been there before, so I know those cons that could sneak up on you. And I'm hoping to help ease that and just be more relatable to you about it because I've been there before. Okay, I have about 18 years working experience in the design industry. Like I said, I've worked for several ad agencies in Pittsburgh, in Akron, Ohio. I worked for a publication company in Akron, Ohio, and I've worked for several publications in Tampa, Florida. I have about 6 years teaching in higher education. I have my own design studio, which is more of my freelance practice. That is great. I'm actually working on a book cover for an author that I've done a book cover before that he had published a few years ago, and he's doing another book, so I'm doing that for him. And I just ended a branding project with my other client. So it's not as busy as it used to be, but it's a great balance to teaching as well, because I do teach a lot. So I get to practice and teach, so it's kind of a good balance. I have a 3-year-old daughter, Amelia, and she will be 4 in April. So we're kind of looking forward to that. She is such a light in my life. I love her so much. I have a dog too, although he doesn't live with me. Unfortunately, since I have gone through my divorce with my husband recently, he has had to take him because I live in an apartment that doesn't allow dogs. So unfortunately, that kind of stinks because he was my fur baby. But hopefully soon I will be getting another house and we'll be taking him with me. So that'll be good. All right. So where are you guys at? And like I said, when you guys post your intros, tell us where you're living at currently. You might even tell us if you're not currently living where you are from. You might want to say, hey, I'm from, Pittsburgh, PA, but I'm currently living in, you might want to state that in your intro. You might even want to state how comfortable you are with some of the Adobe programs, specifically in design, on a scale of 1 to 5, you might want to state that, and be honest about it. A lot of you guys are beginning this is a beginner class. So a lot of you guys might just be starting to play around with the program, and that's okay. That's why you're here. All right, so just to go through a few deadline information here. So we're all on the same page. This is really important because I think sometimes these deadlines can sneak up on you. And especially with only having weekly deadlines and only having a 4-week session for each class, it really is demanding of your time. So make sure you're getting your work in on time. All week 1 work and all your week work is really due by Saturday before midnight Mountain Standard Time for possible full credit. If it's over a week late, it cannot be accepted. You have a 1-week grace period with a 20% late penalty. However, that does exclude discussions. If you post a discussion initial post and response posts after the due date, it will not be credited. There's a reason for that, because the discussions are basically, you're going to get the most out of it during the time frame that it's due, because nobody's really going to go back and read from the last week new posts. And you'll gain so much more out of interacting during the time frame that it is due, because instead of posting at the very end of that week, you won't probably get as many responses. So make sure you're getting that in the initial post before midnight on Wednesday. And then any other responses is due by Saturday before midnight Mountain Standard Time during that week that it's due. If you're posting after the deadline for discussions, it will not be credited. All right, before we get into all the learning objectives, let's go into Canvas here real quick. Let me change direction here on you. And I just want to kind of make note of a few things before we go forward. Don't forget you have your daily checkpoint. Those are great to get some extra, I have students always asking, how do I get extra credit? Excuse me. Well, we can't really give you extra credit other than the daily checkpoint. So the daily checkpoint is a great way to gain 5 points every day if you did do it correctly, or I guess answer correctly. And those all add up. If you figure how many days in 4 weeks times 5, times the points that is available, it can really it can add up very quickly. All right, you have your Shark academic resources here for additional academic, it's kind of like a study hall, academic resources in here. The live session, this is where you will go into to join the live lectures. And our class will be meeting on Tuesdays for the live lecture, starting at 4:30 Mountain Time. If you're Eastern Time like me, it'd be 6:30. And then this isn't mandatory, but we do have multi-sessions tomorrow at the same time. So if you want any extra help, want me to review anything, want extra feedback, that's the time to do it. Come on in, and I'll be sitting in the room waiting for everybody. We're just waiting to see if you guys need help. Here's the link that you'll be clicking on for the live session if you join me live. And then don't forget to look in your recorded session, because there are videos here before the live lectures are placed in here that you need to watch first that are mandatory. So for instance, I will be placing this lecture recording here under lecture 2, but you need to watch this first one first. It's about 2 hours long. And then watch the one that I'm going to be posting after this ends. Same thing for week 2. Whoop, actually open it. Same thing for week 3 and 4. Time zones are listed in there too, so if you're confused about that, there's some time zones are kind of listed out for each time zone based on the schedule. Here's the course objectives, description, learning objectives, course text, even a roadmap. What's nice about this is the topical outline. You kind of get a nice overview very quickly. Simply stated what we're going to do in week 1. We're going to do welcome in InDesign utilization in graphic arts, InDesign tools and terms, building a simple layout in InDesign, type and image frames, shapes, lines, colors, and resizing graphics. That's kind of what we're doing. So course information is kind of nice if you want to go in there every week just to see what we're doing. The library is what it is for extra resources as well. Student Success Center. If the learning coach is not available at the time that you need it, or I am not available for extra help, Student Success Center is a great place to go to get extra help as well. Readings and videos, make sure you're clicking in here. Again, this is kind of some additional videos in here that will definitely supplement each week as well. It's required of you to watch this first one. This first one is already in your live lecture forum, live session forum, I should say, that we just saw. But then there's additional videos that you can kind of look at to supplement the course. And that's nice, because if you're unfamiliar with the program, it's nice to get that supplemental information. Here's the help desk if you have any issues with the technical and computer support, technical side of things, or within the Canvas platform. That's kind of where you would go to get that help. Career preparation, we're always thinking about portfolio coming up, so it's a good resource here for that. About the instructor, this is my bio. That's me. There's my name. There's my email, phone number. That's my actual cell phone number. So I always like to say I prefer you to just email me first. I always have my phone on me, and I respond within the 24-hour period. I don't, you can call me too. I've had students text me. That's fine, as long as you tell me who you are. Because I do teach more than one class, and sometimes I'll get random texts without people saying who they are, and their number will pop up but no name. So go ahead, tell me who you are, what class you're in, and your question would be very helpful. A little bit about me, you can definitely read through that as well. So that's just a little bit about me. Course content list. This is a nice, simple way to get to all the information within this class very easily in a list form. So for instance, course information, general guidelines, due dates, instructor information, just kind of like the same things that you just saw, just in a list form. Lynda.com you can access. Here's the porthole. You won't have that because you're not an instructor. Week 1 just kind of breaks down each week, and then daily checkpoints. It might look a little different on your end because I'm actually I'm in professor mode. Let's see. So I can do student view here just to show you what it would look like on your end. There we go. Let me see if it'll look any different here. Never actually checked that out. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have little green things. All right. Good to know. All right, and then the course description. So this course builds a basic proficiency in layout and production techniques currently being used by graphic arts professionals. The course enables students to utilize the principles and elements of design to create various layouts and prepare files for digital output and print production. Also, in announcements, you want to go here a lot because I post important information here. I have my welcome announcement, and there's other information down here that you may want to check out. Visit the tutoring center, join the new IU Graphic Arts Facebook community, ProQuest login information, and then the applications required for this course, very important to read. Here's my welcome announcement, kind of giving you a little bit of a sum up of what this class is about, where to kind of find the live lecture, when our live lectures are, a little welcome message there. The learning coach schedule will be posted every week. This is week 1. Christy Paulson is the learning coach for this class. So here are her hours and contact information. If you need help, you definitely can call her. She's great. Extra information there. And then this is the extra help. If you need extra help in your level 100 courses, it's just talking about what I just spoke about, the live lecture or the multi-session that is available. So there is one for this class, 105. And then attached is the sheet that you'll take a look at for the times and who's available when. Let me open that up here. So it looks similar to this here, or just like this, I should say. Okay, and then there's me, and there's my link there, and there's everybody else too in specific classes. I think Shannon teaches the other one, or does the other one. Mine is at 4:30 and on Wednesdays, and hers is at 4 on Tuesdays. And then down here is the Adobe help links. So James and Sean are listed down there. Always good to know. Good information for sure. I know I have some students that have some issues with Adobe or needing to upgrade, or something happens and they need help. So, all right, let's go into week 1 here real quick and just take a look at our learning objectives. And every week you get into your weekly objectives, which is what you guys should be walking away from after the first week, second week, third week, fourth week. So the learning objectives for week 1 are as stated. So define how InDesign is used in the field and describe 5 scenarios of when it would be used. You're going to identify and match 10 basic tools in the description of their use. You're going to identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions. You're going to create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. You're going to describe the difference between InDesign's rectangle tool and rectangle frame tool. Utilize the rectangle, oval, and line tools to create a composition in InDesign. You're going to utilize InDesign's character panel to apply changes to font size, kerning, tracking, and leading. Illustrate how to utilize the color palette within InDesign. Prepare an InDesign document for print outside using the package tool. And then show correct image resizing and cropping methods in InDesign. This week we will learn some basic InDesign tools and terms. Here's a short video with some inspiring thoughts about success for a great beginning to your week. So you definitely can check that out. It's a little short video. And then everything else is listed in here. Course media, introductions. Again, don't forget to introduce yourself and then your discussion. Let me know if you have any questions about that going forward with anything that I just said. Like I said, I want you guys to ask me. You're not bothering me. I would rather you ask me right away so that you're not stuck or frustrated or stressed out. You know, I want to be here for you guys. All right, so this is just the same learning objectives that I went over just in the class itself. Let's go ahead and take a look at your discussion one. We'll do a little overview of discussion one. Okay, so InDesign and fields. So learning objectives covered. Define how InDesign is used in the field and describe 5 scenarios of when it would be used. All right, so graphic design is a very diverse field, and the use of InDesign as a tool within it just as diverse. As our means of communication changes and diversifies, our software and technology work hard to keep up with current trends and changes. InDesign is no exception. One of the things that can be most confusing for a new designer is which software to use for each new project. In the same way, one of the most frustrating things for our vendors is receiving files that are in the wrong format. For example, a newsletter layout in Illustrator or a logo in Photoshop, which are industry standard no-nos. So how is InDesign used? Specifically, InDesign's purpose is to give a platform to lay out printed or print-like materials. It was designed to create a harmonious marriage between text and image. This might include, but is not limited to, brochures, newsletters, ads, business cards, books, and more. InDesign allows us to take the graphics that we create in Photoshop and Illustrator and combine them with easy to work with text. So this is your prompt. This is what you need to answer here. So for this discussion, you will look at InDesign and how it is used in field today. You might try a job site like monster.com. Consider checking a few others like Indeed, the Art Career Project, or any listing resource you know of. Use InDesign as a keyword for your search. Take note of the job titles and descriptions that come up. Are any of the listings something you might be interested in? Why or why not? In your post, write about one of the positions you found and list the job duties that require InDesign knowledge as a skill. List ideas of how you will become a power InDesign user so you can be hired. For example, to become a power InDesign user, I will learn one InDesign shortcut a day. Discuss why you feel your methods will be successful. For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of how InDesign is being used in the field today. Your initial reply post should work to develop a group understanding of this topic. Challenge each other, build on each other, always be respectful, but discuss this and figure it out together. Don't forget, per the due dates and participation requirements for this course, you must submit one main post of 150 words plus words, one APA citation and reference, as well as 2 follow-up posts of 50 plus words. Responses can be added to both your initial thread and other threads, but must be in your own words, no copy and paste. Each reply unique, no repeating something you already said, and substantial in nature. Remember that part of the discussion grade is submitted on time and using proper grammar, spelling, etc. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about that. I actually started the discussions here, and because nobody started it yesterday, so I just said, hey, here's some other links that you might want to check out that are great possible opportunities that you can go ahead and click on and search. You can type in InDesign. Let's take a look at the Glassdoor one. And, it's up to you where you want to look, the area that you want to look in. It may be good to do it in your current area, but if you're moving or, where maybe it's a place that you want to move to, you might want to change that depending on, what you feel like doing. All right, so when I do that, here are some of the InDesign jobs that pop up here. So you might want to kind of scroll through and take a look. This is in Pittsburgh. And when you click on one, let's do Here's with our location. It will tell you, it should tell you what requirements are involved. And here we are, expert in use of. There we go. So, oh, this one looks like it's in Beijing. So definitely good to read the fine print. All right, so definitely, you know, pick something that you think would be interesting to you. You know, I think that would be the best way to go because obviously if you're interested in it, you can talk a little bit more about it. And don't forget to cite your sources and show examples of how InDesign is used in the field today. With those examples, if you cite any information or if you cite, and you know, if you have an image, you have to cite the image. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, InDesign is definitely, when I hear a designer who actually worked in the field, and I've heard of this before, and they probably haven't worked too long or we're doing only one or two things in the company. But I've had some past students that had experience in the field tell me that they've never used InDesign before, but to lay anything out, they've done it in Illustrator or Photoshop. I know that's an issue because InDesign is definitely the end-all software for laying out any type of layouts for a project. You might do something, maybe a photograph you want to change the color, manipulate, or do a composite of different images, and that's Photoshop's job. That's where you go to do that in Photoshop. So say you're working on like a cover for a magazine. This is a great example. And you're given all these photos, or you have to pick a photo. So you do all the photo work in Photoshop to get it ready. And then maybe do the headline, the masthead, if it hasn't been provided already, in Photoshop as well. Or you take that photo into Illustrator to do the masthead. Masthead is basically the name of the magazine. Or you could put it into InDesign at that point and do the masthead in InDesign. So you're taking that image of the cover into InDesign, doing the type over top. And that's kind of what designers do. They go back and forth. Programs for different uses. So Photoshop's for manipulating pixel-based imagery, like photographs. Illustrator is great for any type of logo creation, any type of like icons or illustrations that are needed. And then InDesign is usually where everything is placed into to get the file ready for the type treatment and for pages or a page for print. All right. Let me know if you have any questions about that, but it seems pretty straightforward. So hopefully you guys are going to be good with that. All right, so let's take a look at your assignment 1 overview and we'll do a demo. I'm going to do a little overview and then we're going to take a 5-minute break before we do the demo here. So I can give you just a little bit of a break and give me a break, my voice a break here. I think you guys will really enjoy this first assignment here. It's kind of an interesting assignment. And I think the assessment, let me take a look at the assessment here. Okay, before I go into the assignment 1, your assessment 1 is a quiz, okay? It's gonna be worth 50 points. There's no time limit. You have to have it done by today or by this week. The objectives are as such, so you're gonna identify and match 10 basic tools to the description of their use in InDesign, identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions, describe the differences between InDesign's rectangle tool and rectangle frame tool, create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. We'll kind of be talking about this today in the demo. So, and then it says this quiz is based on week 1's live session reading and videos. There's a total of 11 questions and you have unlimited time to take the quiz. Be careful to read the quiz to help discourage cheating. Some questions will seem just like others, but the values have changed or what is asked for is changed. Be sure you know what the question is asking for and the values to use. So that is what's going on for the assessment one. The assignment one is worth 120 points. These are the learning objectives covered. So you're going to create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. Utilize the rectangle, oval, and line tools to create a composition in InDesign. Show correct image resizing and cropping methods within InDesign. Utilize InDesign's character panel to apply changes to font size, kerning, tracking, and leading. Illustrate how to utilize the color palette within InDesign and prepare an InDesign document for print output using the package tool. So here's an example of what we're going to be doing. So InDesign is the industry standard for layout of all kinds. Graphic artists utilize InDesign to bring text and graphics together with the ability to manipulate and change both quickly and easily. Effects such as drop shadows, highlights, bevels, and more can be added and removed effortlessly within InDesign platform, making client changes in campaign management far simpler than in other software. Another strength of InDesign is its type tool and character palette. InDesign delivers the ability to minutely tweak anything related to a font, its size, position, and many other attributes, which is a designer's dream come true. Multiple page documents such as books and magazines are almost exclusively created in InDesign as well. InDesign shares many tools with both Photoshop and Illustrator, including the eyedropper tool, text on a path, gradient, pen tool, and more. This will help tremendously with your learning curve as you step into this powerful yet user-friendly interface. Okay, so for this assignment, you're going to create some cover designs for a menu. For the week 2 assignment, you will do the rest of the menu design, maintaining the styles introduced in your cover. In the field of graphic arts, we frequently give the client more than one option to choose from. Therefore, this week, you will be designing two versions of the same menu cover. You're going to review the 3 menu options below. You're going to choose only one of the 3 menu options below. You're going to create a new InDesign document with the following specs. So here's page size, 8.5 by 11. Number of pages is 2. Margins is 0.375 inches. Bleed is 1/8 bleed. Turn off facing pages by unchecking it. A little note, the initial default setting for InDesign is in picas or P. Make sure that you have not changed your preferences to be in inches before you create your new document. Using the logo and tagline from your chosen restaurant, create a menu cover layout. You may add color or pattern backgrounds, utilize the photos provided, plus add lines or shapes to your design. It can be as simple or as complex as you think the restaurant warrants. Then you're going to go to page 2. Create a second version of your cover. Consider trying a different background and or experiment with different opacities, colors, and type combinations. Remember, whatever you start here will carry to the other side for week 2's assignment. If you copy the layout from the example, your creativity score on the rubrics may be low, so you don't want to copy anything you see here. Package the file when you are finished. Be sure to include all the images, fonts, and in a high-res PDF. Zip the package folder and name it as it's listed there. Then you're going to turn in the zip file. Choose one of the following restaurants for this week's project. And I'm going to go through each of these steps here so that you guys are kind of understand what you need to do. Okay, so you have to choose from one of the 3. You have Maxwell's. Choice number 1 is Maxwell's Fine Steaks and Seafood. Maxwell's has graced downtown Atlanta for over 80 years. They've been around for a while, and they're in Atlanta. Since they are known worldwide for their overall customer experience, there is a 6-month waiting list for reservations. All staff is in tuxedos, and crisp white linens grace the candlelit tables. Their entrees range from $52 to $82, with all side dishes served a la carte. This truly exemplifies what a fine dining experience means. This is kind of giving you an example of what you could do, but don't copy it or else you'll have a low creativity score. Maxwell assets include logos. This is what you'll be given. Logo, front page copy, menu copy, 4 photos, and then you click here to see all the assets. So let's take a look at those assets here. If I click on them, this is what you'll see. So in this assets folder down here, you'll see this JPEG image of the cake. Let me get this bigger. Here is the back of the menu, front of the menu, just an example to show. Here is another image. There's the logo and the native AI software. So this is the logo you need to use. And then here's the text that you'll need for your menu. 2 more pictures. And that's typically how a client will give you stuff. If they have anything to give you, they'll give you a folder or something like you know, of files that maybe include the images, logos, and or copy and text. All right, choice number 2 is Starlight Bistro. Something great by the sea is their tagline or slogan. Best friends Margot and Penny opened Starlight Bistro after not finding what they really wanted in a restaurant, healthy food. Starlight Bistro is a very small restaurant decorated with holiday lights, star ornaments, and colorful prints. It is eclectic in food, entertainment, and the personalities on both sides of the counter. Shoes are optional as they are situated right on the beach. For under $20, you can get a healthy meal with a fabulous view. And again, here are all the bistro assets provided down here and a list of them included. Choice number 3 is Walk and Roll, Chinese and sushi restaurant. The Walk and Roll came about when restaurant owners Lou and Wen decided to stop competing for Orlando's best in Asian cuisine and instead joined forces and created a unique Orlando dining experience. Families from around the world feel comfortable in simple, contemporary black and white and red decor. Prices range from $8.95 to $15.95 for a plate that is certain to yield more than one meal. So here's their assets as well. So if you were to decide on them, you would click on this where it says download, and you would download that as well. If you're interested in how I'm going to evaluate your work, this is the rubrics, the criteria that you're going to need to cross-list to see if you hit upon each of these. Okay, so definitely a good thing to look at. All right, so I'm going to do a demo on how we would do this step by step so that you guys have a clear idea of how you should approach this project. Now, of course, I'm going to do it my way. I want you guys to, come up with your own creative design. And you don't necessarily have to choose the client that I'm choosing either. But this is just a nice way to kind of show you the foundation of InDesign, how to set up your file, how to place images in, how to use type, how to set type, show you how to get to the color swatches, and utilize other tools as well as when you're ready to export, how to package your file for submission. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to actually stop here for a minute. We're going to do a 5-minute break, and then I'm going to come back to do the demo. All right, so I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's get started here and open up InDesign. We're just going to share my desktop. I think that would be easier for you guys to see everything. Okay, so when you open up InDesign, let me actually open it up first so you guys can see what happens when you open it. I already had it open. And it's pretty similar. If you're familiar with Illustrator or Photoshop, it has pretty similar tools and some panels that you'll see, very cross-platform in terms of them all kind of looking very similar. Now, there's different ways that these vary in terms of where, Photoshop versus InDesign, you'll see different effects in Photoshop versus InDesign, but for the most part, the navigational part, the panels all really are very similar. So the one thing that you'll notice at the very top hand corner of your workspace, top right corner of your workspace, you'll see either Essentials or Typography Mindset 2. You can click on that, and basically this is where you can set your interface to what you want it to be, and it could be geared towards these different defaulted settings. So let's say you were just working in digital publishing, you would select that, and all of your panels, of course mine disappears, right? All of your panels, mine just kind of disappeared. Hold on one second. Will or should set to, I'm not sure what's going on here, guys, digital publishing. And of course mine isn't. Let's do file new document. I think it's because I didn't have a document up. So let's just open up a custom one here. There we go. Okay, let me go to view. All right, so I just want to get my workspace here set. So let's go to Essentials real quick. There we go. Okay, so the Essentials is basically the essentials of what you would need in InDesign. What should come up, and I'm not quite sure why mine's not coming up, are panels that are essential for working in InDesign. Let's go to typography real quick and show you. Okay, here, typography, here's the panels I was talking about that would relate to maybe just with typography alone. So you have your character, paragraph style panels. I'm having some weird things going on with this. Let's see what happens when I go to book. There we go. So if I was working on a book, I could choose that. You can even do a new workspace. So let's go back to Essentials. Let's say you're working in this class, do a new workspace. You can even name this DES105, capture the panels and menu customization. And then whenever you're ready to start, let's say you start building what you kind of want to work in. So you bring up some panels here. Yes, like so you have a character panel, and then you want your paragraph panel out, and that's all you need. What you're going to do is you're going to save this. Once you save it, this will always be the same when you open it up. You'll always have these panels up. I'm just going to go to Essentials. I think that's a good way to start. Or even typography. Let me go to typography because my panels come up then. All right, you should see a top part of your navigation is a lot of presets up here on the very top. And typically when you go to your, this is your toolbox, and just notice that you can pull these out and move these around your panels just like your toolbox. And you can select this double arrow above if you want it to be oriented in a different way, either double stacked, vertical or horizontal, depending on your workspace and how you like to, how you like to work. Notice how every time I select a tool, let's select the pen tool, the top presets will change based on that tool. Let me check the pencil tool and you'll see, or the type tool, you'll see it change to the type presets. Scissors. Yeah, so typically it's based on the tool that you choose. You have the selection tool, and this basically is what you select. Let me draw out a square here. And this is the shape tool, by the way, rectangle tool. These are your shapes. If you see a little arrow on the very bottom corner of each icon, that means there's more underneath that you can choose from. You just click and hold that click and you can choose from that. So let's say if you want to do a circle, you can click and do the circle. Let me get your swatches out. So swatches is over here. If you don't see that, go up to window and choose color. Let's see here. Color and then swatches. Let's just give it a color so we can, and I just gave it a color, but as you look over here in the toolbox, the stroke, which is represented by this square with a little hole in the middle, that's just making your stroke red. Now, if I were to flip this, so here's your, if you see this, the little dash, red dash here, it means there's no color provided. So that's the fill, and that's why there's no color fill in there. If I were to choose a color for that fill, it would give me, that color with that outline. I can also select just say the outline and choose down here, apply none. So that would take away my stroke. Same thing with my fill. I'm gonna fill it with black. And I'm gonna fill this one with green. Okay, so what I was saying before was the selection tool allows you to select your elements, so type or your shapes that you created, your text boxes, anything, images, and allows you to select it to move it. It allows you to select the bounding box to make it bigger. It allows you to, kind of move things around. So that's the black selection tool. The white selection tool is your direct selection tool. And this would be considered like if you were an illustrator, this would be kind of like the white arrow. You click directly on the line, not necessarily the point, the anchor point, but the line of your shape or whatever you're drawing. And you can actually just manipulate that vector point. Oops, if you click on it. Okay, so that kind of manipulates the actual anchor point. Okay, so then that's a basic tool. And then you have your type tool. Let me delete that. Your type tool, if you choose it and then click on your canvas, and you have to drag and slide it to drag like a text box out. You can then type in there afterwards. The little thing will blink. You can highlight it by clicking, double clicking, and then see how the presets up here change. Or so you can change, the typeface here with this is the point size. Oh, and make sure, go into your preferences, go up to InDesign CC before, and I meant to mention this before. Go into preferences and check your units and increments. And make sure up here it says units and increments, ruler units. Your horizontal and vertical are set in inches. Your stroke is set in points. Okay, that just allows you to measure things a little easier. So you can change your type up here, or you can go up to window and choose type tables, character, this is your character palette. You can do the same thing here with your panel. So you can change the type size here, point size. You can change the leading, which is, let me show you real quick. So the leading, see how I just, Did these two stack? The leading is the space in between these two words. If you highlight, if you rest your cursor over each of these examples, you should get, mine's not doing it, an intuitive highlight saying what they are. This is the actual leading. It's not doing it for me for some reason. So the less point size, the tighter the leading is, the space in between, the bigger, the more space in between. The tracking is, there we go. I just had to click on it. There we go. Now it's telling me what it is. The tracking is the space in between each letter. So it is what it is here. The, what am I doing here? Kerning is a space in between two letters. So you can affect just the space in between two letters specifically. Although this isn't, it's going to do it optically, not really. Okay. And again, this is your move tool. You can move this around if you need to with your selection tool, I should say, not move tool. And that's the type tool. Now there's different type treatment. If you hold this down, there's type on a path. And that's pretty neat because what you can do is draw a path either with the pen tool. And this is something that you might be familiar with in Illustrator, or maybe not. It's kind of a little harder of a tool. Let's give it a black outline so we can see. And you can take your indirect selection tool and kind of select the points here to change these out too. And then go back to your type tool and choose the type on a path tool. And you're going to click right on that path. And you can type out, you know, a sentence or a word that will form to that actual path. Now you can make the type bigger. You can actually take away that stroke, so it just looks like it's on the path there. And what's neat about this is you can take your direct selection tool and move this, your different vector points here. Oops. If I can, let's see. Kind of manipulate it and to get like a better curve or direction of your type in that regards. It's pretty cool. Hit the delete key, select and delete to get rid of it. Pretty easy, but that's where the type tool is. You have a line tool. That's basically what it is. It's just a line. Fill it with a color for the stroke and you get the line tool. You can change the width of the line and the decoration of the line. If you choose the line after creating it, go up to your presets. Way up here it says 1 point. This is where you would change the width of it. And then below that is, you know, you can change the decorative parts of it. What do they call that? The stroke, I guess, how it looks. Okay, pretty cool. You also have the pen tool or the pencil tool, which is kind of a free-form tool, which you have it in color. And again, you can change the width. You can also go up to stroke under window and change the width here. You can also change the decoration part of it here. Different scaling options. End caps, that would be kind of the harshness of the end there if you want to have a cap or just straight up and down look. Pretty cool. So that is the pencil tool. Underneath that you have the smooth tool and erase tool that kind of smooths out your lines. So you can go over your line that you just did and smooth out some lines. And your erase tool is basically what it is. It erases. I don't know if it's actually, if I have to select this. Let me zoom in here. Yeah, it kind of erases parts of the line that you don't want. I don't know if it actually works on solids. Let's see. Oops. Oh yeah, it does. Just taking away the points there. This is harder to see. Okay, so that's that. Some of the other ones that you need to be aware of too are the shape tools. So these are the shape tools I showed you before. Rectangle tool is a rectangle tool. You can also make a square if you want. You just hold the shift key down to make it symmetrical. Again, go to your swatches. Where's my color swatches? Up here. Colors. I guess I disappeared. There we go. Color swatches. You can find other swatches too under here if you want to. See where the panel is there, it says swatches. If you click on the upper right hand corner, you can go, let's see here. Actually, let's go to, oops, not that. Color. You can actually choose in here a specific color. And there is another way that you can do the color, Adobe color themes right here. So let's say you were looking for, and that was right under color as well. If you were looking for, let's see, explore, no, most popular, random. You can kind of scroll through here and see different color themes that you might like. And once you choose it, you can add the swatches. So then it adds it to your swatches, and it's named a specific name here. So you can actually choose each color in this theme. Okay, so that's how you would access different color swatches, and swatches again. Here's the color, here's the panel. Swatches are here. Another thing to pay attention to is pages. I think that's up here. And pages is basically showing you, how many pages you have in your document, what size it looks like, or what size it is. So you'll see I have a page here. If I wanted to add another page, I can either click down here, it says create new page, or here's my new page. So for this assignment, you would choose new page for 2. You want 2 pages. And I'll show you how to set up that new assignment here. I just want to show you really quickly. You can also do an upper right hand click or upper click on this right handed button and do insert pages and do that as well. You can delete them by just dragging and deleting. I believe you can go up here too and hit delete. Okay. So those are the shapes. So you have circle, square. If you hold down the shift key, they're symmetrical. There we go. And you have polygonal tool. If you click on the artboard before you actually draw out your shape, you can actually choose the width and height and how many sides it has. So let's say I do a 5-sided one. It's going to give me the star tool. 5-sided. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you, and I'm going to show you this as we go forward too. So those are the shape tools, and they're just what they are, shape tools. So you would use this for, basic shapes in your layout, maybe a color bar, different elements in your layout. Now this looks pretty similar to your rectangle shape tool, only it has a little X in it, just like the other ones below here. And it's called rectangle frame tool, ellipse frame tool, and polygonal frame tool. Now, the dead giveaway is a little X in it. And the little X in it is trying to tell you as a designer, hey, this isn't a shape, this is a rectangle, or this is a frame tool. And this is only used to import images into. So you can't do it in the shape tool. You want to use these frame tool. I mean, you can't do it in the shape tool. You have to do the frame tools if you wanted to place an image in here. So as you draw out your frame tool, now have it selected and either go up to edit. Command D is the shortcut key. Let me see if I Okay, file place, I'm sorry. File place before you're ready, or Command D. And then find your image and open it up. Now it might place really large in here depending on the image size originally. So if you're using a smaller frame tool and the image is really big, you're gonna get something very like strange looking. So if it's still selected, what you need to do is go up to your object on your menu bar and choose fitting and fill frame proportionally. Okay, same thing goes for the circle and the polygonal tool. It's the same thing, only a different shape. Command D, I'm going to place in this object, fitting, fit frame proportionally, fills that in there. Now, if you wanted to move this around in there, you just double click in it. And when you double click, you'll see this red box appear. This is just telling you in your little hand that, hey, this is what your image looks like without it being cropped. This is how big it is. So it looks like the top and bottom, I can't really go up and down, but I can go left or right. There's more image on the left and right. So if you use my arrows, I can kind of pull it over, or, you know, depending on where I wanted, what more of an image I want to see. Bump it over. Now see where it ends? See how it kind of gets cut off there? So I want to keep that so it's not getting cut off. So right there. Notice how there's like a little linked image here. You can actually have your linked panel up. So go up to window and choose links. And this basically is showing you where it's linking them to. And that means where is this actual image original at? Mine's on my desktop in a folder. So it's just telling me in my links folder where it's at. You want to keep all of your images in your native file in InDesign all in the same spot. Okay, so let's start the demo. And let's go back to the objectives here. So here is, let me turn this off here, or turn this on here. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to go back to InDesign. We want to do 8.5 by 11, and we want 2 pages, and the margins are 0.375, and bleed is 1/8. So we're going to go File, New Document in InDesign. This is what you're going to do to start this project. Okay, so where it says width and height. If you don't see 8.5 by 11, it looks weird. Make sure the units is in inches over here. You want 2 pages here. You don't want facing pages checked, so leave that blank. You want to start with page number 1. You want to click down here to set your margins, and I believe the margins stated 0.375. You can either type it in, oops, and then click on this link to make them all the same, or you can use these up and down arrows to get it to where it needs to be. The bleed is 0.125. Hit the little link to set them all. Okay, and then hit create. Okay, so you'll notice, see your white page? That's your layout. Beyond that white is your trim edge. So if you were printing this, it's going to trim right where the gray meets the white. That's where the printer would trim it. So this is 8.5 by 11. The purple line is your margin. This is not your margins. It's not going to print like this. That's just for you to align your images or your text nicely so you have enough margin space. And what that does is it allows to frame all your information nicely. The more frame, the better, because it's kind of like a picture. When you frame something, it usually is important. So if you have copy too close to the edge or an image too close to the edge, it's not going to look pleasing aesthetically. The blue line is, that's not your bleed. I'm not sure what that blue line is actually. It might be your slug. Do I have a slug? Yes, I do. Okay, so we have this set up wrong. So you want the bleed. I don't know why that set that up like that. You might want to double check yours. So go up to, if that looks similar to mine, go up to File, Document, Setup. Not sure why that did that, or maybe I didn't see. The bleed should be 125. Top, bottom, left, right. The slug should be set at 0. We don't really need that set. Okay, So you should see it. This is exactly how you should see it. The red mark is your bleed. So if you had any images that bled off, it should reach out into that red area so that when the printer trims at 8.5 by 11, they won't see any weird white gap if necessary. Okay, I'm gonna name this 105 assignment 5, or assignment 1. Whoa, where'd that come from? Last name. Okay, this looks good. All right, the next thing that I want to do is I want to, let me open up Illustrator here. Might not need to, but let's go back to our, while I'm loading that, let's go back to our instructions here. So I did all that. Use your logo and tagline from your chosen restaurant, create a menu, cover layout. You may add colored or patterned backgrounds. Utilize the photos provided, plus add lines or shapes to your design. All right. So what I probably am going to do is I downloaded the Starlight Bistro, and that's kind of the one that I'm going to attempt to do for the demo. So I downloaded the assets for that already. So it's already kind of, it's done on my part. All right, another thing that I did, and let me show you here real quick. Pixabay, and I don't know if you guys have heard of Pixabay. It's a great website to find images that are high res that you can use for this project. So if you're looking for beach shots or, you know, restaurant shots, you can type in keywords and that can bring up some interesting pictures for you to utilize for this project. Okay, so and then you just download it from the site. If it's something that you think it looks good, let's type in beach restaurant. That's kind of cute. Now, think about the background of your client. You know, you want to align the image to what that restaurant's all about. So if they're not as expensive, obviously you don't want to make it look too expensive, but fun and updated. And it's actually just kind of cute. Cute picture there. You want to align it to what it's about, what that brand's all about. Okay, so take a look at some shots. I already have some pictures pulled out from that website, so I'll just kind of plop it in here. So again, this is page cover 1, and this would be cover 2. So you have 2 pages. When you first created this document, you should have 2 covers, not facing pages. Okay, the image that I found, I'm going to have it bled on all 4 corners. That means it's going to cover this whole entire menu cover. So I'm going to take the rectangle frame tool. I'm going to start up in the upper right left-hand corner of the bleed, so where that red line is. I'm going to click and drag that all the way down to the bottom right-hand corner of that bleed. And now I'm going to hit Command D or File Place. I'm going to place the image that I found here. I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Full Frame Proportionately to fit it in there. I thought this was kind of cute. Now I can double click in there just to see if I have any more image available. Looks like not too much, so that's it right there. And I thought this was kind of eclectic and cool looking, kind of what the brand was calling for. Okay, so now I'm going to try and place in the information here and the assets folder. Let me hide this here just to go back. Okay, let me open up this cover assets cover. It's a Word document, and this is provided to you guys in the assets folder. So this is, it states it's a cover, Starlight cover. So take that cover, everything on here, the logo needs to be on there, Something Great by the Sea. So all this just kind of copy. You don't have to copy the logo because you know that's what the logo should be. Go back to your file here and take the type tool and draw out your text box. Draw out a big text box, and then Command V or edit paste the copy in there. And you can pull that down. Now I'm going to place the logo in here. So I'm going to take the rectangle frame tool again, pull it over here. I'm going to make sure that I start the rectangle frame tool at the left margin and at the right margin so that it is perfectly centered to my layout when I place it. I'm going to do Command D, and I'm going to go to my folder, and if I were to place the AI file, it comes in just nicely here. So I just had to pull out my text or my frame. If I want to shrink this, say if I want to get this a little smaller, just double click in there. See how that red box appears? And go all the way up to your presets with it selected. And see where it says 100 and 100 up here on your right and X and Y coordinates. You'll want to change that to the percentage that you want it to be. If the linked box is checked, it's going to do it proportionately. So let's do like 75. And then when you want to center it, go to Object Fitting, Center Content. Okay, so that centers it in there. All right, the next thing is the copy. So I have the logo in there. Now the copy is really hard to see. I'm going to select all. So I'm going to either do Command A or just double click on top of it. And I'm either going to go way up here where my alignment options are. Here's center, or I can go up to Type and Tables and choose Paragraph and choose the center alignment here, Align Center. This helps your alignment options here. I'm going to actually take this out of this box. So I'm going to copy and delete this out. This is more like a tagline. Take away the spaces in there. And I'm going to take another type tool. I'm going to draw another box. And I'm going to do Command V to paste that in there. And I'm going to make this more bold. So I'm going to select all. Go up here to my different options for type. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because this is, it's a little hard to see here. It's a tagline, it has to be viewable. You can even put a line in here to separate both of them. Just a very thin line if you wanted, and you can make it purple, it doesn't have to be black. Do I have my snap to guides? If I have my snap to guides here, let me check. View, snap to guides, yes, smart guides. Make sure those are selected so that when you're ready to center anything, it tells you if it's centered or not. It's kind of a nice, quick way to do it. I'm going to put that right down here. Just make sure it's readable. You want it to be readable. I could probably make this a little bit bigger. You don't want this to be too big. You want the logo to stand out, but you want it to be readable as well. And then the contact information, you could put this all in one line. Just put like a command number 8 for a little bullet point in between if you want. Now it's really hard to read. I forget how I ended up doing this. Let me open up my original one. I think I added Let's see here. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, so the original one, I just put the tagline up here in a different typeface. And down here, I put the contact information and the hours down here with the line in between. But I did and I'll show you how to do this. This is pretty neat. So if you take this away, it's really hard to read that. So what I did was I did like a little gradient back here with the colors that are within my image. So I'll show you how I did that. So I took my rectangle frame, or my rectangle shape tool, and I went left to right on my bleeds and bottom, and just kind of stopped at the top here. So that's what it looks like. And what I'm going to take my eyedropper tool, and I'm just going to grab like a color from that skirt. And then I'm going to choose gradient. Oops. I'm sorry, this one, gradient feather tool. And I'm going to take once I choose that, take my cursor down below because I want it to feather from here on up, and hold the shift key as I'm feathering it. So I'm just going to do all the way, and I won't kind of go outside of this box, just so I have it clear, there's no edge there. The next thing I need to do is I need to pull all this stuff in front of this box. I need to pull this out of the way. I need to choose my elements, hold the shift key down to choose multiple elements all together. So I have my logo and my copy and my line all selected. Shift select, selects them all together. Go to object, arrange, and bring to front. And what that does is it pulls it all on the top of this color bar. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to see it because they'd be hidden behind it. And let me show you how this looks presented here. Preview without all the bleeds. Oops. So this part, I did a universe condensed 18-point type, and I put a drop shadow on it, made it white so you can see it, and I just added the type box up here. The drop shadow that I added can be found if you select the type that you want to put a drop shadow in. Go up to Object, Effects, and Drop Shadow. When you choose that, your effects box will come up. If you choose the preview button, you'll be able to see that effect either being taken off or put on. And these are all your presets. So if you want the opacity to be, if you don't want it to be as bold, you can pull down the opacity. If you want it to be more bold, you pull it up, higher opacity. These are your blending modes. I'm just keeping mine at multiple. You can do other like inside shadow and all this other stuff too. I'm just going to keep it simple. Just put a little shadow in there. I can do the same thing with the logo. Although you want to be very careful about that because sometimes, like for instance, if you were to do it like this, it's very hard to read. So you'd want to make sure that the distance and the opacity aren't really that high up. So maybe something like this. Let's hit the preview button. You can kind of see the difference. Kind of makes it pop a little bit, but it's not hard to read. Okay. So that would be my first cover. My second cover, and this is kind of before I did my changes here, I picked out another picture. Again, I'm going to bleed it all off. You don't have to bleed all your image off. You can keep, you can do more than one image. You can do all type if you thought that that was what was good for that. Although I would really encourage you to do, at least an image in there. I think I did this picture here. Object fitting, filtering proportionately. Something very simple like that. Again, take my rectangle frame tool. Now I'm going to look for the logo. Maybe put a drop shadow on it. We'll see here. Might not need it. Okay, looks pretty good. And then all the other contact information, which I could just copy this stuff. Place it in here. Oops. Probably make this a little bit bigger. And again, this is kind of hard to read. Let's try to do maybe white. That's kind of a little hard to read. Might have to put some dimming effects there. Let me see what I did in my example here. Okay, I made it real small. And then I placed it up here. Okay. Which is definitely something that you can do. So let's do that here. So instead of pulling this on one line, kind of kept this small, maybe choose a thicker font. It'd be easier to read in this darker area here. And what you might want to do is make the phone number just slightly bigger. Something like that. So right now, you don't want it to be too big though. Right now my type is 14 point, that's pretty big. And then my phone number is 24 points. Remember, this is gonna be in somebody's hands. So that's pretty big, 14 points. I wouldn't probably go any bigger than that. Let me get rid of this line. I don't think that's really working. I might actually go a little smaller. Let's do 18 for the phone number, and let's do, it's bothering me, 12. 12 for the text above, and then maybe for the hours, I'll leave it at 14. Okay, and I have it in the darker area. Now I could throw a drop shadow on this too, if I wanted to kind of make it a little bit more readable. Pull in the, there we go. And then I could even have this up here or even by the logo. If I have it by the logo, I'm probably going to want to align it with the bistro and then make it a little smaller here. Oh, what am I doing? That's not the right. I'm going to do left align. I'm going to pull it just down away from the logo just a little bit, and then maybe give it either, I would probably do a purple. Go ahead and select it, take your eyedropper tool, add the swatch to your color palette here, just double click on it to add it to your color swatches. So then when you do that, you can select it and choose that swatch to change it to. Keep it consistent. And then this is what it looks like. Okay. Or if you want to pull this away from the logo, that's fine too if you think that works a little bit better. I would just align it with everything else. And make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, maybe make it a little smaller than that. It's kind of competing with the logo. You don't want it to compete with the logo. You want it to be secondary to the logo. But I think that you need a little bit more space in between here as well. Or what you could do, this might be kind of cool, might be something neat to do. Make it real big, like really, really big, and give it an opacity. So go up here and kind of give it a nice little, you know, almost like it's engraved in there. And then I would just make that smaller than the logo. You could even switch this around, you know, if you wanted this to be up here and the starlight to be down here. Play around with it, see what you like. The reason why I said make the logo a little smaller is because it just, you know, you don't want these two to compete. It's okay for the logo to be a little bit smaller. You don't want it to be super small, you know, but you want it to be there. This way you can see the tagline, you'll see the logo, kind of all works. Probably just pull this down just a little slightly. Okay. All right, so let's say this is done and finished. And you're ready to save. Replace this. I keep saying assignment 5, I don't know why. Save, replace. Hopefully you guys understand the project. If not, let me know. Tomorrow night we'll have a multi-session so you can come in and ask questions. But when you're ready to save it, you have 2 different variations that you want to show. When you're ready to save it, what we're going to do is we're going to, let's just see here. Okay, so you're going to package the folder and then you're going to zip it. So all you need to go to is File, Package. This is going to show you a summary of what is included in your file. So all the links and fonts that is included. You can check out what's in there, links and images. If you have issues with it, you'll see it pop up. Right now it's telling me that I have 4 links found, which is good. And then if everything looks good, just hit package. Say continue. This will pop up giving you the name of the folder. Just make sure copy fonts, linked graphics, updated link, graphic links and package, use hyphenation, include fonts, and include the PDF for print. Make sure this can be the smallest file, that's fine. But all these should be checked and click package. Click OK. So it should package it up all in one neat little folder on your desktop or wherever you kind of saved it to. Mine is right here. So right here is where I can find the native file. So that's the InDesign file.indd. The PDF. This is what it looks like. So if I were to open it up, open your PDF, make sure it looks good. Just show 2 pages in there. It should your document fonts, all the fonts you used, and all the links to all the images. When you're done with that, you need to zip it. You can't upload just this folder. So select it. If you're on a Mac, hit the control click on top of it, control click, and choose compress. Or I think you can choose it and go up to File and Compress. This will compress it into one zipped folder, and you'll just upload this for review. And mine's 4.6 megabytes. That's perfect. You want to make sure you choose that PDF as a small file size so that your file isn't as big. So this is what you would upload. I would save this folder in your in your week 1 folder, but this is what you would upload for your actual project. This is the assignment instructions, and it's telling you here, package, zip it, turn in the zip file. And then don't forget, whatever design that you want to make sure you have 2 good variations. Because you're going to choose one to go forward with, so you can do the rest of the menu design in. So you want to make sure that design looks, is on point, because you're going to be using one of the 2 for your upcoming projects. Do some research. So research other menu designs online to get a good idea of how you should align your design elements based on the client and the appropriateness of the brand. If you're doing, for instance, the beach menu that I'm demonstrating, you might look up other beach menus that are similar within that brand and target audience. That would be, it wouldn't be as it's not a pricey restaurant. It's more of a fun, uplifting, more unique restaurant. That's a beach restaurant. So you would want to look up those similar brands. You want to do research so that you're inspired about what works, and you want your menu to look updated and new. All right. That's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. I'm going to wrap it up because I did go over a lot. Hopefully this information will help you go forward with your assessment one. Don't forget, that's your quiz. Your reading and videos will also support that quiz as well, so make sure you're looking at all of those. I will be posting this live lecture link as soon as I get this processed tonight. If you have any questions, email me. I will be here tomorrow at the same time as well. And I'll see you guys on the discussions. Okay, have a great night.